So, my last little talk tonight is about a guy in India. It's about a guy in India. And this guy, he's in a place, and please, I forgive me for my poor pronunciation. He's in a place called Bengaluru, India. It's a tech hub. Apparently, it's known as like the Silicon Valley of India. The fellow's name is Anand Maligavad. Anand Maligavad. He's a mechanical engineer in one of these companies. Now, this city that he's living in, it really grew really fast. It grew really super fast. And when it did, the population came in and they took over. And as humans often do when we take over an environment like that, they destroyed it. And in particular, they destroyed the lakes. The area had been known to have over 1,800 lakes. The region had like 1,800 plus lakes. And these lakes that's where all the fresh water came from. Like everybody counted on these lakes. They were there. Well, as you know, lakes are essential to human survival. And he was really disheartened by the condition of these bodies of water. They were just in the roughest of shape, and they'd lost their beauty. They'd lost their purpose. They were nasty and gross, if they still existed at all. So he decided he was going to rehabilitate these lakes. He was going to restore these lakes. Now, as a mechanical engineer, he has no experience in this at all, though, obviously an engineer, he has the ability to learn. But they pretty much laughed at him. Like, well, nobody listened to him. What can you do? Right? What can you do? What can you do? And he tried to get people excited about it. He tried to get people engaged in it. He tried to get the right people in line to make this happen. And he finally just gave up with that. And he decided, well, if I can't inspire them to do this work, I'm going to do it myself. And so he began doing research. And he studied how some of the ancient Indian empires irrigated land, and how they handled turning low-lying areas into lakes and shallow reservoirs. And he realized, we can do this. And it wasn't going to take any chemicals, and it wasn't going to take, like concrete. He could do this. It was actually a fairly, it's intensive, but a fairly simple process. And it was a process that if he began it, nature would take over. If he gave nature a little kickstart, it would take over. So his company, the company he works for, gave him like $120,000, they said. And he got to work. And no, I'm not going to get into exactly how he did it or anything like that. I will, when I put this video out online later this week, I'll include a link in the comments so you can read the story for yourself, and maybe even search him and see what else he's done, because he didn't stop at one lake. He's restored 80 some odd lakes so far. And this, by the way, hasn't been something that everybody's patting him on the back for. He's actually ticked people off. He's gotten death threats from people, because there are some who profit from these lakes being gone. Right? There are people who profit from the destruction of these lakes. In particular, what was it? Land grabbers, I think, is what the article called them. But basically, people who wanted these lakes to be dried up so that they could put housing, and they could sell sell the dried up lake as property to another person. Not everybody was happy with this, but he knew this is the right thing to do, because this is what our community needs. This is what our people need. And he knew that without these lakes, the people were never going to last in any kind of healthy way. And so he, despite the threats, and despite the fact that he didn't know what he was doing, and despite the fact that he didn't have a team of people around him, He's restored 80 lakes. Now, it's easy and natural. Oh, it is natural for us to become disheartened and to lose hope, right? How come we're not fixing this? How come we're not doing this? How come my neighbors don't care about this the way I do? I can't answer any of those questions. But I can tell you, just from Mr. Mulligavans and people like him. There are other stories of people like him. I did a video a couple of years ago about a kid in California who every day goes and picks up a garbage bag full of a garbage bag full of garbage, like once a day. And he does this every single day, and he's helping the beautification of his neighborhood. There's a story of the retired chef, I think he was, in Florida, who, despite the fact that his city does not want him feeding the homeless, has been arrested on numerous occasions for feeding the homeless, because somebody has to do it. Somebody has to help. There's all kinds of stories like this where individuals have decided that in their capacity, they're going to love this world, that they're going to show and demonstrate their love in this world. And when they do, it matters. It absolutely matters. This guy's not going to save every body of water, nor is he trying. But what if his actions inspire 12 others to go and save 12 and then save 100 lakes each? What if they inspire each another 12 to go and save another 10 lakes? What if his story coming here to North America inspires us here to do some of this work? The world gets changed by this one mechanical engineer in Bengaluru, India. That mechanical engineer changes the lives of people all over the planet because he chose to try. As Christians, and you knew this was coming, but as Christians, Jesus, he didn't go out and get millions of followers. I don't know. He didn't stick around until he had the church up and running and in control of Rome. He didn't stick around until the church had cathedrals built over every continent. He didn't stick around until there were, 1.4 billion of us. Nope. He did what he needed to do. He made the difference that he needed to make. But it was his inspiration. It was the world inspired by him. It was the people who were inspired by him that kept things moving. You and I, we can make a difference. Again, we don't have to get 1 million people activated. We don't have to get, 2 million people moving. We as individuals don't have to move mountains, nor do we even have to put the team together that can do it. All we have to do is our little bit. So my encouragement to you tonight, wherever you are, with whatever gifts you have, in whatever capacity you are able, demonstrate some love for the world. In your way, make the world a little bit better of a place to live. Again, you don't have to move a mountain. You don't have to start a church. You don't have to build a cathedral. You don't have to save a lake. But in your capacity, you can do something. You can share and demonstrate love for this world in a way that will indeed make a difference. So even though you're disheartened, and even though we're despairing, and even though it may feel hopeless, and even though it may feel like there's no point, do it anyway. Do it anyway. The future will thank you. Amen.